What I'm going to do with you today is teach you a little bit about what adaptations are. Part of our assignment is about adaptations of a New Zealand or Aotearoa animal or plant. So we're going to use sharks as our way to learn about them very quickly, and that hopefully will help you be able to use that idea to describe and analyse and evaluate the adaptations of your animal or plant that you've chosen. Okay, so we've got a shark here. I'm going to actually start in the middle with structural adaptations because they're probably the easiest. Who can have a guess at what some of the structural adaptations of a shark are? What are the things that are really special about a shark that you can see just by looking at a picture of it? It's got a big tail, okay? So it's got a large tail. Cool. Okay, anything else?
Sharp teeth.
Sharp teeth. Brilliant. And actually, I don't know if you know this, but the other thing about the teeth is that they keep replacing each other, almost like a conveyor belt. Carry on. Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Fantastic. Okay, anything else? We've got two, which is sort of what we need. Yep. Fins. Awesome. Okay, now we've been able to identify a few things there. And what do you think the big tail helps it do?
Swim fast.
Swim fast. Great. What do you think the fins help it do?
Control.
Stabilise, control. Great words. What are the sharp teeth for? Eating. Alright, so catching and killing prey. Brilliant. So they've all got a reason. If you take them away, take away the fins, the shark can't stay upright, so it'll probably swim upside down because of a thing it's got called a swim bladder, which actually changes its buoyancy, how well it floats or sinks. If you take away its tail, or make it smaller, it can't go as fast, it can't flick as fast. If you get rid of its sharp teeth, well, it's going to die because it can't eat. Alright, so there are structures. There's heaps more. I've done a little dotted line there to show something else that it has. It's a really special structure in sharks, and it helps it use the Earth's magnetic field for navigating. It's almost like a sixth sense. It's pretty cool stuff. They've got eyes rather than anything like that. They've got a good sense of smell, that sort of thing. So there's lots in there. You've also got the colouring. They're also structural adaptations. They're normally dark on the top and light on the bottom. You don't think why that would be? Brilliant. So that's what we call camouflage. So camouflage is another good example of structural adaptation. Right, behavioural. These are really easy to define as well. It's the way the animal or plant behaves or acts. Let's think, how do sharks normally behave? Let's say, for example, when there's blood in the water. They go crazy. Yeah, just call them out, guys. It's all right. They go crazy. So they're what we call aggressive. All right? So sharks can be quite aggressive when there's blood in the water. Does anyone know what sharks do if they come across something they're not sure about? What's their behaviour if they don't know what something is? What do they do to it? They tap it with their nose, so they actually push it to see what happens. If they're still curious, who knows what they do next? It's actually a little bit scary what they do next.
Don't they hit with their fin? Like their big tail?
Or certain types do, yes. And that's normally a hunting mechanism. Okay? But does anyone know what their next step is? So they bump into things, so they use their nose to push things.
Don't they try and swim on the water?
That's more crocodiles, but getting on the right sort of thing. The scary thing is, they do swim around it, and the other scary thing is they'll actually take a wee bite. So yeah, like they'll bite and let go. It's almost to see what it tastes like, and that's another interesting behaviour. So sometimes shark bites aren't where the shark is trying to eat something; they're actually trying to find out what it is. They've bumped it, and they haven't found out enough, so then they just dig their teeth in a little bit to see what it tastes like. No, that's fine, and they let go and they go away. Or if it tastes good, that's the problem. Then they'll keep going. They won't let go. And then they will do what was just said before. They'll often take it underwater because that's where they're most at home. So behavioural, how they behave. Structural, the things on and in it. This one's really hard to define. Physiological. It's the way the body acts. It's things like giving birth to live young or laying eggs. It's things like breathing using breathing air using lungs, so through a mouth, or breathing through gills. Those sorts of things are physiological. So it's how they function. You'll sometimes see these called functional adaptations, and that's another good word to use, and I'll put it up there as well.
How long do they last outside the water? Not indoors?
Not long. Yeah, I'm not sure. I honestly don't know the answer. And I'd say each shark would be different depending on its size. I'd say bigger ones would probably last less time because they used to be in water. They used to have the buoyancy of water, so their weak bones, which are made of a thing called cartilage, would crush on the weight of their flesh. So it's running out of air, ironically, being in the air and they run out of air, but because gills don't work in the air, and it's also being crushed. But I'm not sure. Honest answer is I don't know.
Does anyone eat sharks? Like,
Yeah, killer whales will. Bigger sharks will eat smaller sharks. Yeah, and of course when they die, they get decomposed, broken down by things on the bottom of the sea.
A killer whale is known as an orca.
That's right, orca. Well done.
No, isn't it? They're like a type of dolphin.
They are. They're the biggest dolphins. Well
learned
done.
that last night, didn't we?
Awesome. Okay, let's have a look at this last one. Physiological. So how things... So this is how the body functions. So the first thing that's sort of a big giveaway on these is what's normally about here on a shark. Gills. So let's draw them in. Okay, so it gets its air by filtering the water by drawing it through gills. So it's got gills, which are the structure, but it breathes through. The gills are both. They are the structure and they are the way that it functions for getting its air. So they breathe oxygen by filtering it out of the water using the gills. What else? Does anyone know whether sharks give birth to live young or lay eggs? What do they do? Does anyone know?
What do you say?
What do sharks do? Do they give birth to live young or do they lay eggs? Some lay eggs. It's actually a trick question. Some do one, some do the other. So some lay eggs.
Where do they put the eggs though?
In the news.
No, they attach them to something. They actually sort of are stuck together. And they float around in like a small... It looks a bit like a really big lot of seaweed, but it's not. Okay, so some lay eggs.
Is it like what? Have you ever seen like a baby one? Like when Cano completes all that.
Yeah, actually I have. I was lucky enough to see one being born in an aquarium. But I mean, I know I was really, really lucky with that. It's very unusual to see them.
Like we caught a dogfish and when it's pregnant and then like got the baby out of it.
The dogfish give birth to live one. Yeah, so it would have been a little dogfish, wouldn't it? It wasn't an egg. Yeah. And dogfish are a type of shark. So yeah.
And rig.
You know, give birth to the fish.
Yes, they do.
I've been bitten by a shark that was a dogfish and I thought this movement bit me and I like to leave for ages.
Did it hold on or did it just bite and let go? Yeah, so it was finding out what you are, I think.
Because like we put it up in our line and then like you put it on like the table and then like my hand was there and it bit me.
Awesome. Gosh. These functional ones are the hardest ones for you to define, and you're going to find those the hardest ones to do in your assignment. Okay? So just be aware of that. So here we go. You've got 3 types. I'd expect you to be able to find lots of structural ones about your animal. Probably 3 or 4 behaviorals, but you may only find 1 or 2 physiological. If you're not sure about how to classify them, then let me know and I'll help you with that. Okay? So if you've got something that an animal or plant does and you're not sure how to define it, just ask me and I'll help you with that. That's probably one of the hardest things to do in this topic.